This interview is part of the History Heard project. The content of this interview may be used for historical research. However, no part of the video itself may be reproduced without the express written permission of an authorized representative of History Heard. Today is June 24th, 2009 at 11 a.m. This is an interview with Len Downie in Washington, D.C. He was born on May 1st, 1942 in Cleveland, Ohio. So, some media outlets are just media outlets, but the Washington Post is more than that, as everyone knows, because it's a newspaper that people read all over the world. And during your time as executive editor, the Post won 25 Pulitzer Prizes, which is an amazing accomplishment. And so we want to know what it was like to be the editor of the Post when you know that every night when you go to bed, the whole world is going to be reading what you publish.
Well, it's obviously a serious responsibility. The internet has made it possible for a newspaper like the Washington Post to have an audience throughout the nation and throughout the world. And being in the nation's capital, we have a lot of influence, obviously, over what happens. I remember when I was a foreign correspondent in the early 1980s, and you'd go to countries, I covered Britain and Scandinavia, and you'd go to countries in Scandinavia, and you'd be treated like a very important person because it was the Washington Post, and they knew that the stories I was writing would be read by the American government. So that is a big responsibility. What I really enjoyed about the job was that we have this collection of really, really good journalists in many different fields, really talented people. And being able to be the conductor of that orchestra for a long time was great fun.
And so you took the position following the retirement of Ben Bradlee.
Correct. Who
is a legend. And so that must have been difficult, kind of, because they say in show business not to share the stage with a kid or a dog.
Right.
So
what happened is that Ben became executive editor in 1965 and was executive editor until 1991. Starting in 1984, I was his managing editor, so I worked with him for 7 years, and then I was executive editor for 17 years after Ben retired. So that's a long time in which there are only two people running the newspaper. Right. It actually, I didn't worry about the fact that I'm not Ben, and didn't, not a glamorous figure like he was. Instead, what was important to me was the journalism that Washington Post produced, and Ben laid a foundation that I was able to build a big edifice on, and so that was the good part of it, and I never had any problems with succeeding Ben. It was a great thing to be able to do.
Yeah,